Welcome back to Applied Wisdom, Literature for Living Better. Today, we're tackling something I think everyone struggles with sometimes, that mental hamster wheel. When your brain just keeps spinning on worries or replaying things, we're diving into Nick Trenton's Stop Overthinking. The goal here is to pull out some really practical strategies. Think of this as, I guess, a quick guide to help you quiet that mental noise and get more focused.
Yeah, it's a big one, isn't it? Especially if you're someone who's trying to learn and grow, you do need to think and reflect. But there's a point where it tips over into, well, just being stuck. And Trenton makes a really important point right at the start. Overthinking isn't just thinking a lot.
Right. It's different from productive problem solving.
Exactly. It's unproductive, it's often negative, and it just goes in circles. It's like mental clutter, really.
Yep.
It drains your battery, makes you anxious, and makes deciding things feel impossible.
You feel like you should be figuring things out because you're thinking so hard, but you just end up feeling worse, usually, more stressed. He talks about two main types, doesn't he? Rumination.
That's endlessly chewing over the past. Why did I say that? Why did that happen?
And worry, which is all about the future, right? All the what ifs.
Exactly. What if this goes wrong? What if that happens? And often they're things you can't even control. But what's really, I think, empowering about his approach is he frames it as a learned habit.
Okay, so not like an inherent personality trait you're stuck with.
No, more like something your brain learned to do, maybe because of anxiety or maybe trying to be perfect all the time or feeling a lack of control, even just information overload these days. It learns these patterns.
Which is good news then, because if it's learned...
You can unlearn it or learn new habits. That's the core idea. But first, he stresses understanding the cost. It's not trivial.
No, definitely not. It ramps up stress, obviously, but also decision paralysis, that feeling of being totally stuck.
Right. It eats up your mental bandwidth, messes with sleep.
Oh yeah, lying awake at night.
Totally. It can strain relationships, keep you in a negative mood, and even over time affect your physical health. It's a big deal.
So he offers this toolkit, 23 techniques, which sounds like, wow, a lot.
It does, but we can break them down into categories, which makes it much easier to grasp, and importantly, easier for you to figure out where to start.
Good. Where should we begin? What's the first category?
Let's call the first one awareness and identification. You can't stop doing something if you don't even realize you're doing it right.
Makes sense. So how do you become aware?
He suggests simple self-monitoring, just pausing occasionally and asking yourself, is this thought useful? Is it helping me move forward, or am I just spinning?
Like a quick mental check-in.
Exactly. And journaling can be huge here. Getting those thoughts out of your head and onto paper. It helps you see the patterns. Oh, look, I always spiral about this kind of thing. You also start to spot what he calls cognitive distortions, those biased ways of thinking, like jumping to conclusions or catastrophizing.
So first, just notice it happening and maybe see what triggers it. Then how do you actually stop the spiral?
That leads us to the next category. Let's call it thought interruption and reframing. This is about actively stepping in. One technique is pretty direct. Thought stopping. Literally, when you catch yourself, mentally yell, stop, or visualize a stop sign.
Does that really work? Seems almost too simple.
It can, with practice.
Yeah.
The key is then immediately redirecting your focus. Don't just stop, pivot to something else, something neutral or positive, or the task at hand. Then there's cognitive reframing. This is a bit deeper.
Okay.
It's like challenging your thoughts, asking, okay, what's the actual evidence for this worry? Is it 100% true? Is there any other way to look at this? You're looking for more balanced, realistic perspectives instead of just accepting the negative thought at face value.
So questioning the validity of the worry itself.
Precisely. And related to that is doing a productive worst-case scenario analysis. Not just imagining disaster, but defining the actual worst outcome, realistically assessing how likely it is, and then, crucially, planning how you'd cope if it happened. It often makes the fear feel much more manageable.
That makes sense. Takes the vague fear and makes it concrete. Maybe less scary. What about that worry time idea? That sounds interesting.
Yeah, designated worry time. It sounds odd, but the logic is containment. Instead of letting worries pop up and derail you all day,
You give them an appointment.
basically, you schedule, say, 15 minutes each evening. When a worry comes up during the day, you write it down and tell yourself, I'll deal with this at 7 p.m. Then, during that time, you actively engage with the list, problem solve if you can, reframe, or just acknowledge the worry. Then, when the time's up, you stop.
Containing the chaos. I can see how that might work. What if you're just feeling totally swamped in the moment, like right now?
That's category 3, present moment and grounding, getting out of your head and into the now. Mindfulness and meditation are obviously big ones here, long-term practices, but for immediate relief, sensory grounding is fantastic.
Like the 5-4-3-2-1 thing.
Exactly, the 5-4-3-2-1 technique. When you feel that overwhelm, you intentionally notice 5 things you can see, 4 things you can physically feel your feet on the floor, the chair, 3 things you can hear, 2 things you can smell, and 1 thing you can taste.
So it forces your brain onto your senses.
Instantly. It yanks your focus out of the future worries or past regrets and plants it firmly in the present reality. Deep breathing exercises work similarly, calming the nervous system.
That's a really practical tool. Easy to remember, too. Okay, so we've got awareness, interrupting thoughts, grounding. What else? Overthinking often stops us from doing things.
Yes, analysis paralysis. So the next category is action and behavioral techniques. Breaking the mental logjam by doing something. A key one is taking small, imperfect action.
Imperfect action, I like that.
Yeah, forget waiting until you have the perfect plan or feel totally ready. If a task feels huge, break it down. What's the absolute tiniest first step you could take?
Just opening the document or making one phone call.
Exactly that small. Just commit to that one tiny thing and do it. It breaks the inertia. Momentum builds from there. Setting time limits on decisions can also help. Instead of agonizing for days, give yourself, say, 20 minutes to gather info and then decide.
Prevents endless deliberation. What else in this category?
Engaging in absorbing hobbies, things that fully capture your attention. Physical exercise is huge too. It's great for burning off stress hormones. Even decluttering your physical space can sometimes help declutter your mind.
Interesting connection there. One more category, right?
Yes, the underlying foundation, maybe. Mindset and acceptance. Cultivating attitudes that make you less prone to overthinking in the first place. Self-compassion is crucial. Treating yourself with the same kindness you'd offer a friend who's struggling.
We're usually much tougher on ourselves, aren't we?
Much. Also, actively embracing imperfection. Letting go of the need for everything to be flawless. Good enough, really, is often good enough. Accepting uncertainty is just part of life. We can't control everything.
That's a hard one.
It is. But focusing on your locus of control, putting your energy into what you can influence and trying to let go of what you can't is very powerful. And finally, practices like gratitude can shift your focus towards the positive, making less room for negative spirals.
Wow, okay. That's quite a toolkit broken down like that. Awareness, interruption, grounding, action, and mindset.
Exactly. Lots of different angles to tackle it from.
So for someone listening now, feeling like, yes, this is me,
Yeah.
what's the advice on actually using these? It still feels like a lot.
Start small. Definitely don't try to implement all 23 at once. Pick 1 or maybe 2 techniques that really resonate with you. Maybe it's the 5-4-3-2-1 grounding for in-the-moment panic, or maybe scheduling that 15-minute worry time seems doable.
Just choose one thing.
Just 1 to start and practice it consistently. Like any new skill, it takes repetition. Don't expect miracles overnight. Be patient with yourself. You'll slip back into old patterns. That's normal. Just notice it, maybe use your chosen technique, and keep going.
And maybe that journaling helps track progress.
Absolutely. Journaling can help you identify your specific triggers, see which techniques are working best for you, and just reinforce the learning. Over time, you can start combining techniques. Maybe you use thought stopping, followed by a quick reframe. You find your own combination.
It sounds like the key is consistent small efforts rather than trying to overhaul everything instantly.
That's it. Find what clicks for you and practice. Overthinking is a habit, and like any habit, it can be changed with persistence.
This is really helpful stuff. Nick Trenton's Stop Overthinking definitely seems packed with actionable advice. It's not just theory, it's things you can actually do.
Yes, it's very practical.
So the big takeaway is that this mental churn, this overthinking, it's manageable. It's a habit you can influence and change with the right tools and consistent practice.
Absolutely. You can regain control over your mental landscape.
So maybe the challenge for you listening is, which one of these ideas felt most relevant? What's one small thing, maybe even one small imperfect action you could try this week or even today related to something you tend to overthink?
That's a great question to ponder.
Well, thank you for joining us for this deep dive. Hopefully it's given you some concrete strategies for a quieter, more focused mind. Stay tuned for the next one. And hey, if this was helpful, please do like and subscribe. It genuinely helps us out.